time and space is threatened, one hero isn't enough. Many will answer the call. They are the legends of tomorrow. And who else is worthy to tell the tale but the podcast of tomorrow? Welcome, everyone. I am, of course, your host, Zachary here. And with me, joining me for this new venture, this splinter group of the new Southgate Media, DC, whatever you want to call it, is Charlie Esser.
Hello.
So, of course, we are talking about the big Season 2 premiere, and I've very much been looking forward to this because, as some of us who have watched the show last season knew, Season 1 had its problems.
Yes. And the problems return. So if you loved Season 1...
Well, I think this had more... Because the problem with Season 1 was the show was obviously rushed.
Yeah.
And that was fairly evident. So I've been looking forward to seeing what they can do with more setup time, and I think the show does have potential.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, here's what else. Here's what I'll say about this episode. It is confusing, but time travel by its nature is confusing. So once you're and what you definitely get as sort of my feeling for this season is this season's arc is how do we prevent the first episod from happening, as it were. You know, how do we go back and fix? Because like we like some drunken Barry Allen have screwed up the time stream, and now how do we get back to where we can set it right? Since we are now taking this a Voyagers premise for. Do you remember the Voyagers? I don't know if you're old enough to remember that show, but it was it lasted one season. Really good show about basically these people go back in time to fix the time stream. Follows the adventures of Phineas Fogg and his young historian friend.
Phineas Fogg?
Phineas Fogg, yes.
Wow.
You later find out later in this series that he actually was the inspiration for Phineas Fogg because he meets Jules Verne.
Well, there's a show on right now on another network about people who go back in time and try to fix things. Yeah.
It's a fairly common trope. I want to trying to remember where it started. I want to say it started with Star Trek, but
it's probably one because there's older sci-fi than anyone's ever.
Oh yeah,
there could be classic stories but so talk about the show. We start right off apparently in current time in Star City. Mm-hmm. So, oh boy, so we have Dr. Haywood.
Yes, who has super detective skills, which is useful.
God. Yes, and now I do like how they address it, like him knowing he's a Green Arrow, because anyone with half a brain could guess that. It's one of those classic tropes of like Bruce Wayne and Batman, same thing. But I can buy that he found the legends, but the fact that he knows that they're called the legends.
Well, I'm guessing, and I guess because he says that's what they call themselves.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm guessing there's some historical reference there that they didn't emphasize, but and now exactly when they decided to call them to actually formalize a name as the Legends, I don't quite recall that.
Yeah, they called themselves Legends. They did call themselves Legends in Season 1, but they did not call themselves the Legends of Tomorrow, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember that, what's his name? Hunter called them the Legends, and then he says, well, actually, when I called you the Legends, I meant you could be Legends. You actually have no effect on the time stream.
Well, Sarah calls themselves Legends. Remember when they go to the alternate Star City in the future?
Oh, yeah.
And Connor Hawk says, I don't know nothing about no Legends.
Yeah, so there we go. So they're using the moniker. So I guess that makes sense.
And of course, we have no explanation how Oliver has access to a deep sea submarine.
It's called billionaire money.
He's not a billionaire anymore.
Oh, well, it's, I guess, mayoral money? Maybe it's the city's submarine?
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. Episode. Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, what is this, 300,000 sub rental?
Yes, well, no, they have one. Or they, the city of New York.
Star City sub, really?
Well, actually, they're in New York. So actually, they went to New York, so he borrowed New York's undersea sub. Trust me.
What, the New York Yellow Sub Company? Was that sponsored by the Beatles?
No. The city of New York, for using Homeland Security money, bought a sub. I'm totally going to headcanon that. So.
So they find, so he shows them the evidence which says a nuclear bomb went off 3 years before the atomic bomb was supposed to be invented. So through investigation, they actually find the ship and they find Rory. Yeah. And I was thinking when I did my rewatch, it'd be really funny if Rory looks at him and go, "Don't I know you? And weren't you older and only with one arm?"
Yeah. It's, one of the things, and that's actually, this is an interesting thing to bring up on this, which is we're getting a lot of cross promotion on this. Like, the Reverse Flash coming in here. Now you're telling me that Ollie's not a billionaire. See, I don't watch Arrow. I don't really watch Flash that much.
Oh, he lost his money a while ago.
Okay.
Felicity has money though. Oh, well, actually, we're not really clear by the end of Arrow. We don't even know if she has. They're not really clear on that.
Is Queens Consolidated still a company?
No, Ray took it over.
Oh, Ray Palmer took it over. Okay.
It's Palmer Tech now.
Oh, okay. So he went to, because Palmer's missing, so he went into Palmer's place. He knows Ray Palmer.
Oh, yeah.
It's Ray's submarine.
No. Ray named Felicity CEO.
Okay. Okay, so then... Yeah, you know what? This is comic books. People like winning and losing $1 billion. That happens in like a weekend in comic books. It's the times Reed Richards has lost the family fortune and then rebuilt it by the next episode. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, of course, so Rory starts trying to tell them what happened, and what I love is like so many past events. Somehow he's able to tell them about things he wasn't in the room for.
Well, of course, because they do a very intense debriefing after every mission. With legends, so that if any of us get somewhere, you can convey in exquisite detail exactly what happened.
Now, of course, we get a little reference to losing Laurel, but now Sarah's sexuality could be. I mean, I'm so worried about it because here's the thing. She's not, now, of course, if she was a lesbian, I'm not saying Nick, but she's not. She's actually either bi or pansexual.
Yeah.
But the problem is, American television has always had a problem with bisexual men and women. So I doubt they'll ever see her with a man again. But I just think that could be really fascinating to finally have a character like that who's pansexual, because people are so, like, American TV likes to pretend that doesn't exist, which it does.
Well, yeah. Well, honestly, here's what I'll tell you. Right now, we're in a point in American culture where we are looking at a very stark shifting of mores. And these shiftings of mores have happened, but it seems a little more permanent this time. Of course, it probably seemed permanent the last time it happened back in the 1970s, too. And I think what's cementing it this time is this push against things like bi-erasure and pushing against, the standard heteronormative culture in general. That there is this, for whatever you want to say about PC culture, it is pushing us to say, hey, look, there are other ways to live than the ways that are the standard. These are not inherently bad or inherently flawed. These are just the other ways. And it would be nice if you didn't treat these people as if they didn't exist. And, so I do think that, it's going to be an issue. It's always, DC and the Warner's company, they very much, they do, everybody worries about this stuff. Every media company worries about this stuff. And Disney worries about it probably even more because I think there's much more of an active push on people from them to sort of rewrite their canon.
Yeah. But, so we'll have to see where they. I think, but the problem is with a lot of characters like her, once the character goes to the other side, that's where they are. But we'll see where they go with it. I hope they go somewhere because it's like what happened with Torchwood and Jack Harkness. But that's another thing. So, although that aside, in a completely shallow and complete God thing, that scene was awesome.
Yes, we'll have to see where it goes. I mean, I'm not going to say that they're never going to do it again or never have her go, be within that bi world again because, first off, the writers are going to know they have that in their back pocket and they're going to see what they can get past their censors. This is an 8:00 show. And, that is something they're going to have to deal with. But then again, hey, Gotham's an 8:00 show too. So I have no idea how they get that show past the censors.
Yeah, some of the stuff they get, but That's for Phil. Phil Tyler has nothing to worry about.
Yes.
But so they say that we have that awesome scene with her and the Queen. They're all fighting. Apparently, we get a little Three Musketeers action because it's Cardinal Richelieu's men, and they got to use future tech to fight them off. And I love Jackson's reaction to. He's like, "I'm sure the Queen's all ready for you."
Yes. Oh yeah.
And of course Rory's still stealing. That was a nice little touch.
Well, as Harley Quinn says, we're the bad guys, He's going to steal because that's what he does. He steals and burns things. That's what he does. If you didn't want that on your team, you shouldn't have invited him. Like, for me, one of the biggest issues with this show was, when you're going to do a show that's set in history, and then you're not going to be worrying about what is actually historically accurate, that is a bug to me. And it can be something as little as the fact that Einstein taught at Princeton, not Columbia.
Well, they weren't saying he was teaching there. He was just at a symposium. So technically.
Yeah, and I got that too. I thought it would be a little more practical for them to be in Princeton than in Columbia. But then again, people might not know, not having enough faith in people to understand that Princeton's in New Jersey or something. I think that might, I don't know, but that's just like a little thing. Then the whole thing about, how did the Nazis build the atom bomb without Einstein when we built the atom bomb without Einstein?
Well, it is. We'll talk more about it when we get there. But I've looked it up. It is. It's never been confirmed, but it is theorized because she was a physicist that his first wife did help him collaborate on it. Or at least on some of his work. And can I just say, I looked her up. Wow, did he screw her up?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, Einstein was a horrible human being.
I never knew this about him. He left her for his own cousin.
Oh, yeah. No, I did a biography on Einstein in 6th grade, and let me tell you, even in the whitewashed version of his story, he does not come off well. He is a real jerk. I mean, he basically says, oh, my wife and I, we had our troubles and we eventually left. But you could just tell by the way that he was describing the troubles that he was an awful human being, and of course there are those who say that Einstein stole the whole theory of relativity from other people as well. Now, in truth, the idea of relativity...
That's what Family Guy says.
Yeah.
No, but I think, I've heard that too. There was actually, the theory of relativity is actually much older than Einstein, that other people... But that's neither here nor there. So we find out in this episode that Sarah is hunting Dark.
Yes.
Now obviously she kills Dark in the past. Now, I'm really hoping that Dark is... Now, I'm fine with... But I'm Dark as a villain, which... I like the idea of Reverse Flash going through time, messing things up. But Dark being the villain, if they keep him, that's just a replacement for Savage, and that worries me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that... here's what I'll say. They are probably... So, Damien Dark is a character who does exist across time. So, he's a character that they can have showing up. Reverse Flash is a time traveler. So essentially, what you have to give you, I guess, what the writers would say is, with what's his name, I'm blanking on his name now, the immortal guy from last season. Vandal Savage. You ever have a name just fall out of your head and you're looking on the floor to see where it fell? Vandal Savage. Yeah. So Vandal.
No, I did not like. I mean, Vandal Savage is like the Doc Doom of the DC universe, and they just screwed him up.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Well, they combined him with another. But I'm just saying, like, I'm just because it doesn't. In my opinion, it doesn't make any. Because there's only so far they can go with him. Because obviously he dies by 2016.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of like different villains. I mean, and cause if they use Dark, it's just the Vandal Savage replacement. Because think of it, there's no difference between them. An immortal villain that wants to just take over the world. We did that.
the difference is that with Vandal Savage, they had written it as this personal conflict, and Vandal Savage knowing about the legends and manipulating reality using his immortality to manipulate the time stream to get himself to where he wanted to be. With Dark right now, we don't know that he even knows about the legends. I think what they're looking for is they're looking for essentially, instead of having to hire a new actor every episode for a villain, they want to have some kind of consistency. So having Reverse Flash who can travel in time, having Dark who can sort of be there, in essence, almost being like the henchman to whatever Reverse Flash's plot is.
Well, I'm fine with that as long as I think I would like the idea of maybe multiple villains.
Yes. Well, we all would, you know.
Because it kind of limits what they can do. So it depends where they go and we'll find out in continuing episodes where they go with that.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember that, you know, DC, you know, in Marvel you have the problem that, TV can't use this villain because the movies want it. They can't do this because they're doing that.
Even though they own the rights, they have their problem because a lot of characters that were supposed to show up in these shows, but they haven't because they don't want, which doesn't make any sense because they've made it very clear they're their own universe that they have because of the movies. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see where they go with that. Now we get a new. Now I love when he's talking to Jackson. He's like, "Oh, what's a time scatter? Let's hope we never use it." The second he said that, I'm like, "Oh, I wonder if we'll use that."
Yes, and again, it's a weird plot device. It's basically a MacGuffinatronic, you know. With our MacGuffinatronic, we're just going to send you to random points in time.
A Deus Ex Time Machina.
Yeah, and it's like, wouldn't it have been easier just to, if you can send people through time, can't you just send them all to one spot so you can pick them up later? Even send them back to 2016.
Yeah, but to paraphrase Roger Rabbit, yes, but it wouldn't have been as funny.
Yes, well, exactly.
But so we find out that the Nazis somehow nuked New York, and I kind of like the idea of them, like, they know what the change is, and they have to go back and fix it. So they figure out they must have used Albert Einstein, so they go back to find out. I actually looked this actor up. His name is, John Rubinstein, and he actually has a couple of DC connections. He did a voice on an episode of Superman the Animated Series, and he was an episode of Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman.
Oh, well, very cool. Yeah. Now, of course, one interesting aspect in this is that they still wind up changing the time stream by having Einstein sort of admit that his wife was. I don't even know how that actually even fixes anything. Just having.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that when we get to it because that is definitely one of the nitpicks of the show.
Yeah.
So they go back to the 40s. They got to find Einstein. I do like, because it's like they say, never meet your heroes.
Yeah.
Stein, when he realized Einstein's a jerk.
Yeah. That was very accurate for the character, although the wig and the mustache was a little much.
Although the thing about it is, it's kind of weird to me because wouldn't Stein know that? I mean, I'm not saying he knows a womanizer, but he would know that he's not with his wife.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, they weren't together a while ago.
Yeah. Well, at this point, actually, no, he was married to his cousin at this point. But he was
first. When I looked this up, I couldn't believe I read it like 3 times to make sure I read this right. She's his first and second cousin.
Yeah, that was not uncommon in that. Like I said, that right now we live in a world where the idea of being with your cousin is very weird. That's a fairly recent development. I'm actually not as weird because I know about history. I'm not as weird of Eleanor and FDR were like sister cousins or something like that. That's not on the, or I'm not as weird about that as you would think, but I am weird about the fact that she's his first and second cousin on different sides of the family. I mean, that's like hillbilly territory. Well, hey, back before you had the freedom of movement you have nowadays, you basically lived in a village. And especially if you're talking about, Eastern European Jewry, you can't marry outside of the faith. You kind of have to stick within your own group. So yeah, who you can marry is the pool gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
Charlie's cousin has listened to our podcast, getting very nervous.
All my cousins are married, as am I. So we're all good. We all found people we weren't related to.
Okay, so you think? No, it would have been funny if when Stein chases off the women, Einstein made some kind of like dirty physics joke. Good going, man. I was just about to get relative with them.
Oh boy, yes.
But, so we find out Dark is actually the one supplying the Nazis. Now there is one thing I'm happy about Dark because they never were clear on exactly. Well, he probably got the idol way later. I'm just glad it's not Magical Dark, because Magical Dark was they made him way too unbeatable. I mean, here he's just more, although I always thought it was it didn't make any sense. Oh, how's he immortal? Oh, he just took some of the water. It's like, how much?
Yeah. Well, maybe it's a, one-time thing. I'm not sure.
They're not very clear on. They're not very clear at all.
It's superpowers, man. Don't overthink it.
Yeah, exactly. I did like because it makes sense that he would figure it out that they're time travelers.
Yeah.
And I love how it's not even like, oh, you're time travelers. Moving on.
Yeah.
And I like how he liked Rory more than Stein.
Yes. Well, everyone likes Rory more than Stein. Everyone likes Rory. He's no Snart, but he's still, I've always said, I've always felt that the villains in the Legends are the better characters.
Oh, yeah.
I think that the heroes, and like when they got rid of Snart, I really was not sure if they were going to be able to pull this show off without Snart. Because for me, Snart was
They'll bring him back. They'll find a way.
Oh, I know.
I'm sure of it.
Well, because we know he's still alive. He's back in 2016. And I think what it is Flash,
we haven't seen him in 2016 yet.
No, didn't we see him right at the end? Because he got put...
No, that was a couple of years before. It was like a moment in time or something.
Oh, okay.
So now, did anyone else get shades of Avengers when Sarah was in Ray's face? Like, without that suit, it's like...
Yeah.
Excuse me, didn't we go over this in Marvel?
Yeah, we did. But it's they've created, they've made Adam be a Iron Man pastiche. And
definitely.
And they like to pick on that by having, him be sort of Iron Man, but not a good Iron Man, That's sort of their gag that they run here. And they've done that since they first introduced the series, that he was a billionaire in a wonky tech suit, not a real superhero, if you will.
Right.
And of course that I think is Palmer's whole thing, is that he wants to be, he is the superheroic Pinocchio. He wants to be a real superhero.
Right.
But of course, he's not. Although he has a suit that violates quantum relativity and honestly is so far advanced of anything anyone has even looked at. Honestly, the Ray Palmer suit is as advanced, if not more advanced, than the Time Machine. And in fact, I'm going to say the Time Machine, not that advanced compared to what Ray Palmer's suit can do. Because Ray Palmer's suit is actually manipulating things on the quantum level with mass and energy and things that, when you actually think about what it would take to have someone shrink, that is such an amazing game-changing scientific advance that no one ever really kind of looks at and gives the proper respect to. Yeah. So, a time machine, you're just basically like Captain Kirk slingshotting around the sun, even if you're doing it in a much more contained way. I'm just curious.
Now we see them, they get Einstein up. It turns out now here's the thing I don't like about, she built, I don't care if you threaten to kill me. If you say to me, if the Nazis told me build a bomb, I'd be like, no.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, again, within that same kind, and I'm believing his wife was Jewish. One of the reasons the Nazis didn't develop...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Didn't develop this bomb. Because, it's not like the Nazis weren't working on the bomb, but the fact of the matter is that there was this real... much like the anti-science views that you see in modern republicanism today and modern conservatism today, the Nazis were the same way. It was a different brand of it, but they rejected the notion of Einsteinian relativity expressly because it was deemed Jewish science. So one of the main reasons the Nazis never developed the bomb was because the scientists who were working on it said, oh yeah, so we just need to use the Einstein principle. And they say, Einstein, that doesn't sound like a German name. And, they had to find ways to work around actually utilizing, the matter energy conversion formula to do it. And that's why they never really developed the bomb. And that and the fact that, quite frankly, the German scientists working for the Nazis who were told to build a bomb were like, yeah, we'll get right on that, Hitler. And there is a lot of thought that a lot of the German scientists who worked on Germany's Manhattan Project basically intentionally screwed it up. And again, Einstein didn't build the bomb. His wife didn't build the bomb. These are not people who actually had anything to do with the Manhattan Project.
Yeah.
The actual logistics of building a bomb has nothing to do with the mass energy formula conversion. It has to do with creating an implosion and increasing the mass.
Yeah, Einstein created the idea. They created how to turn that into a weapon.
Well, Einstein came up with the idea that matter and energy are related and how they are related, which basically tells you what the yield of an atomic bomb will be.
Right.
It doesn't tell you anything on how to build it. And honestly, Einstein is a theoretical physicist, not an engineer. Approaching building a bomb would probably be like, how should I know? I just know in theory how it works. I have no idea. It's like, how does an engine work? Well, I can tell you how an engine works. How do you fix it? I don't know. There's a big gap.
It's funny. They actually kind of had Einstein in this season of Red Dwarf too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I definitely tell people to check it out. It's really funny.
Yeah.
So they run out. They get the wife, but because of Sarah, like a couple of guys almost on the team of kill because Sarah's vendetta. And I'm hoping Dark is not. I'm fine with him being here, but I really don't want him here the whole season.
Yeah.
Mid-season, fine. It'd be funny if he's part of the crossover, but we'll see. And so we get the Hunt for Red October scene.
Yeah.
But first, they go back. They take the ship down. They're gonna, I think we all knew this was coming. That they were gonna sacrifice themselves and scatter them through time.
Yeah, well, like I said, that's the premise for this. I honestly thought it was gonna be a situation where there was a lot more. I thought that was when they go and then go pick everybody up. I kind of thought that was gonna be that was going to be most of the arc of the first half of the season, was finding everybody and it's like, nope, here they are. I
kind of like that. I want to see where they're going to go with that. And I did like, well, I'll talk about each. First we get, because apparently there was a fossilized shoe print.
Yes.
Okay, now I have mixed feelings about the clues. We don't even know what the clue for Stein was, but here, I think I'm going to start doing favorite, suspension of disbelief, and it might not be what you think. My favorite suspension of disbelief is the fact that Jackson's phone is still working.
Yes, well, it's Palmer.
My phone dies in 20 minutes, so forget for however long he's there. Forget it,
Yeah, we gotta remember this is a super science universe. These things, this is something I've always said about like science fiction and super science universes. Is like everything looks the same, but when you look at what you can do with these things in these universes, it's clear that there is like really advanced technology going on. So, like, when you say, if Lex Luthor really existed, if a Ray Palmer really existed, the technology would be so much more advanced in that world. It's like, actually, from what we see those things doing, from what computers do, how much computers control, and what you can do with just your freaking smartphone, clearly there is this super advanced technology in that world. It just looks the same as the technology we have.
That's an interesting way to look at it, but they probably can get free Palmer Tech phones anytime they want.
Oh, exactly, and those batteries don't blow up.
Exactly. Oh, go. Oh, let's not even get into that. But so they go with the medieval one. Then I did like that scene, and of course my favorite one is Sarah as a witch. That was just awesome when she's just like, "You corrupted our women. They didn't mind."
Bum. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I did like, and I gotta admit, the actor who I've seen him before. Just had his name in front of me. The guy who played him, who's we'll talk later. Who he's probably a descendant of when we get to that scene. But I think he's congealing really good, really fast with the cast.
Oh yeah.
Nick Zano is playing Nate Haywood. He really is doing good. And because I've seen him in other stuff. He's good enough. He's one of those actors that either just do cameos, but anything he's been in himself just doesn't seem to click, which is not his fault. So they get everyone back to the ship, and suddenly they remember, oh yeah, Gideon, hey, even though it doesn't really make sense that she didn't come on the second Oliver came in the ship.
Yeah.
And with Gideon just waiting around, just going, For like, what was it, 70 years, just going, doo-doo-doo-doo.
Well, because of course the gag of it is just no one asked her,
Right?
Because she is a computer, I was waiting for someone to ask.
Although we also see that the ship is fine, so doesn't that mean he didn't have to send him away?
Yeah, well, honestly, yeah, I mean, really, yes. Well, maybe, and I guess that's they did that just to sort of, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It was the precaution. It was the precaution.
It can be saved with one line of dialogue. Oh, the ship needed all this time to repair itself because of the damage of an atomic. By the way, can we talk? I always like because they always showed an atomic device going off in the sea. Oh, everything's okay. Yeah, that would still affect things.
Oh, of course, yes. No, people are dead. People have the amount of cancer that has gone. Although I guess it's a super science universe. Maybe there's like better treatments for cancer. Well, no, I was just going to say better treatments for cancer.
Okay, now they're talking about they need to go and find. Ray left a message. I think where Ray is going to be, he's going to be forward in time because obviously there wouldn't be historical evidence if it hasn't happened yet.
You mean Rip? Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
You know where I bet your Rip is? I bet your Rip is living a quiet life with his wife and child.
Oh, we don't. Yeah.
And when the legends come, they destroy his life. Yeah.
We don't know if there's because we don't. Again, it's hard with and here's the talk about time travel rules that don't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. And let's not spend too much time on this because we're going to hurt our heads. It doesn't make any. I'm fine with them going back in time and changing things. But I do not see how revealing the wife protects her or changes anything.
No, it doesn't. It absolutely does not. It just...
And shouldn't they be running into themselves?
Yeah, well, okay. If we really want to call a shelter half an entrenching kill here, my friend, the final scene of this episode, to me, is the biggest problem with it. Because who shows up in the final scene?
Reverse.
No. Oh, maybe that was a later shot. I'm talking about the Justice Society.
Oh, that shot. Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
So first we see, again, the scene with Einstein made absolutely zero sense. I would say that's the scene I have the biggest problem with because, again, made no sense. But then we get to the U-boat, and if we find out that Reverse is working with Dark.
Yeah.
Now, here's where it's interesting. We don't know which Eobard that is. And I don't even just mean storyline because Eobard was active way before he came into the past. So he could even be the Eobard before he even met the Flash. And I mean his Flash, the older one.
Well, he could also, here's one a crazy fan theory.
Oh,
he has been removed from time. And that's why he's traveling through time. Because his universe is destroyed. And either
he's a living paradox, just like in the original Flashpoint comic, which is where I hope they're going to go, because that's the only way he can make any sense. Because ever since Eddie shot himself, nothing they've done with him has made any sense.
Yes. So the idea is that he's and either he's trying to cause enough damage to the timeline that the universe resets, or he just says, if my universe is gone, every universe will be gone. And like he's just trying to make the world. He's just trying to make time and space burn.
Or he's just screwing around for the heck of it, just for the heck of screwing around.
Yeah.
So we'll get to what your favorite part, the Justice Society show up. So we have it looks like Our Man. No, not Our Man with. Oh, that's another thing. I forgot to mention that. So apparently Our Man from last season popped in and said, "Don't go to 1942," and just left.
Yeah.
And you notice he's not there at the end. He was not there.
Mm-hmm.
So we get, I believe it's obviously Stargirl, Dr. Midnight, Commander Steel. Was the girl Vixen? I mean, not the Vixen we know. But
yeah, no, that's Golden Age Vixen. Because
there was a Golden Age Vixen.
No, there wasn't a Golden Age Vixen, but there is now.
Okay, that's
an
interesting choice.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you, if there was a Golden Age Vixen, she wouldn't have been black. And of course, this will be another great opportunity to completely ignore racial politics of the past.
This is let's not get too much into that, but it is true that a bunch of heroes from the 40s.
Uh-huh.
Well, okay. I could believe they'd have a bunch of black superheroes, but they wouldn't be getting treated with respect.
Yeah, within the group they might be, and exactly.
Oh yeah, in the group, of course.
Yeah, and of course, what you always have the black guy in the pre World War II integrate or the pre 1945 integrated comic book team. You always, whether it's Gabriel Jones or I don't know who the black guy was in Sergeant Rock's team.
Oh God, I'd have to.
Yeah, I'm sure there was one. But
I can't remember offhand.
Yeah,
but I read those comics. They said we're going to get them too.
I know. Oh, and I'm looking forward to it. I think we're also going to be getting the losers from
the DC-A team.
Yeah,
that's what the movie. I haven't read the comics, but the movie was essentially DC-A team.
No, not those losers, but the 1940s losers. They just got a shout out in Superman, and they were like at the start of the New Frontier graphic novel. But they were just another group of World War II.
Maybe we'll get Faraday.
Yeah.
Now who? Okay, so we got Stargirl, Vixen, Dr. Midnight, Citizen Steel. Who's the other guy?
Oh, I would not be the one to tell you.
I mean, I know Justice Society pretty good, but I'm looking at the list.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't have a picture of it up. What's he look like?
He's got like buckles and belts, but we don't want to waste everyone's. I mean, I've tried to figure out a lot of people's, but we'll see. But I don't know.
Yeah, I can get a picture of it showing up here.
I mean, I'm curious to see how they're gonna. Because one thing we've talked about in Flash, well, Arrow too, but mostly Flash, is the fact that that metas for the longest time was only established to be created by the particle accelerator. But more and more, they've established that there are other metas. So we'll see where they go with this here.
Well, and I think what we're going to get is find out that there is this, what's the group? Checkmate, the DC version of S.H.I.E.L.D., that there is this group that was out there hiding all the monsters in the earth, that there was this group that kept it quiet. And that is going to be the explanation that nobody knew about the Justice Society, because whoever the Amanda Waller of the Golden Age Amanda Waller kept it all quiet. Because, see, that was my problem, that if you had metahumans in the past, why would you feel that you have to go deal with the Nazis when you could just let the metahumans know that existed in 1942, that the Nazis were planning this, and then they could go solve the problem in their own superheroic fashion. Now, and I guess and I'm imagining that's what we're going to see in the upcoming episodes. You're going to see that, there are forces that keep these things quiet. And, would not surprise me to see that Damien Dark is actually a member of that group too, that as the corrupt, evil, billionaire businessman, whatever his storyline is,
another way you could go is because again, because of the events of Flash, things have been changed. They could even use that to change, but we'll see where they go with having metas. And, I will have to just see.
Yeah.
Now, and we should make mention that we will, of course, see Citizen Steel. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting we have him because the Time Detective, as he likes being called, it has the same last name. So they're probably going to do something where he's his descendant. And, I mean, we don't know if he has the same powers as Steel.
Do you want spoilers? Because
No, do you want us to keep our listeners?
Well, I don't know. All I know is what I read online, and so what I've read.
I try not to leak because there's so many fan theories. But so we have we'll see where they go. Now, some people have problems with the suspension of release, but I enjoyed this episode and it gives me hope for this season because they were having. It's what Flash had and lost. Mm-hmm. They're having fun. They understand this is a comic book TV show. Actually, Comic Book Girl 19 was using a similar theory to discuss what's wrong with the X-Men movies. The people that make the X-Men movies make one fundamental thing. They understand that the X-Men are a mix of drama and comedy, and it's the same. That's what a comic book is. It's silly and serious. And this looks like it's going to get that right. So I am giving this episode good ratings.
Okay.
And it gives me hope. I mean, there were some subplots, but again, when you have a time travel show, there aren't really no rules. So as long as it's not anything like the Einstein thing, that I had a big problem with it. So as long as stuff like that doesn't happen every single episode.
Yeah. Well, I think the Einstein stuff only bothered me because as a physics nerd, I know stuff like about.
I just meant when they went back and made him give his wife the credit. That made no sense on any level. So what are your final thoughts on this episode, Charlie?
My thoughts on here's what I'll say. The things I loved about Legends are still here. It is a ragtag group of misfit toys. Like I said, I wish they had more villains, but I'll deal with the fact
we'll get some. I bet we'll get some.
Got my fingers crossed for Solomon Grundy. That's my dream is to get Lou Ferrigno to play Solomon Grundy.
I hope he has nothing to do with the Solomon Grundy that appeared in Arrow.
I have no idea. Yeah. See, this is why
you
I don't
want to know.
Arrow.
You don't want to know. Trust me.
Yes. So I want classic, Solomon Grundy hating Super Friends. That's what I want, and I know that.
No, actually, they could use this to bring him on and just have him appear in current time because obviously he's a zombie.
Yeah.
You can just have him come back. So overall, you would say. All
I would say is it's a great show. It's fun. If you can, here's what I'm going to say. This episode, the time travel was the least thing I had to suspend my disbelief for. So hopefully they can solve if they're going to do historical stuff, I hope they can be a little better in their history than what they did here, but aside from that,
something I was thinking is you got to remember. It's like you said, this is a different universe. Technically, they can do whatever they want because it's not like it's the real air quotes real world.
Yeah, but then you kind of lose the. But then see, and here's the thing.
If
you're going to go back in time, then you got to start saying, well, this is this is Johann von Wayne coming over on the Mayflower,
I know, and that can we get a mention of Gotham in this freaking show? Oh my God! I mean, that's another rant from another time. So I think we wrapped up this episode pretty good.
Very good then. Yes.
All right. So is there any, do you want to let the people know where they can find you?
Oh, yes. Well, if you'd like to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, as our Ma's and Pa's once did, do so at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on Twitter as I live tweet the Legends of Tomorrow every week when I can, as well as the Incredible Hulk on MeTV and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. sometimes, at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality.
And of course, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Sandy, and Special Edition. Anyone listening to when this podcast first aired, please, if you're in the Marlboro area, the weekend of October 22nd, find me at Super Mega Fest, the best small town big con you can find. And I'll be there with other special guests. Again, that's Super Mega Fest in Marlboro, Massachusetts. Definitely, if you can, check it out. So that's it for this week of Legends of Tomorrow. And tune in next week. But wait, it's time travel. Maybe we're already there.
It's fun for all ages at Super Mega Fest Comic-Con. 3 full days of exhibits, collectibles, trivia, magicians, and a costume contest. Meet top celebrities from movies, TV, and comic artists. October 21st through 23rd at the Royal Plaza Trade Center in Marlboro. Buy tickets now at supermegafest.com.